Phoenix Splash TV. Well, hello and welcome to another Top 10. In our last Top 10 list, we went over some of the best Super Nintendo games for the system, and the list actually came out pretty weird, due to the fact that we grew up playing some pretty weird games. I don't think that this list is going to be as weird, but yeah, it's still probably going to be pretty weird. Now, of course, all Top 10 lists are subjective, and anyone can come up with their own. So without further ado, let's get started. These are the Top 10 NES games of all time. Mighty Final Fight. Have you ever moved on in life past your childhood only to realize that a gaming franchise you love came out on an NES? That's pretty much what happened with me and Final Fight. Mighty Final Fight is one hell of a beat 'em up, and for the NES. Now, I love Final Fight a lot, and out of all the Final Fights, I actually like this one the most. It has special moves, a leveling up system, and it's rather challenging. The presentation and the music of Mighty Final Fight are awesome too. Overall, it's an NES beat 'em up experience that's on the level of Super Nintendo and Genesis beat 'em ups, and that's pretty damn cool. Swamp Thing. Now, I know this game is considered universally bad, but you have to think back on the times. There was no way of knowing which games were bad and which games were good. Whenever you bought a game, you kinda just had to make with what you had. There was no rule that a game's physics had to be like Mario or Contra's. Sometimes games would have unique controls and unique physics. Were they in any way superior? Well, not really, but I do find a lot of joy in playing Swamp Thing. Probably because I'm comfortable playing it. I even beat it on another video in a Halloween special for this channel. I'm a big fan of the Swamp Thing comics, so that's probably another reason why this common, universally bad NES game is on my list. Hello Kitty World, a Famicom game? That's right. This is another game that I've mentioned on the channel before. Whether you want to call it Balloon Kid or Hello Kitty World, there's no denying the outstanding gameplay that's within it. I honestly think that it gets overlooked sometimes, mainly because it has Hello Kitty characters and not balloon fight characters. I personally don't have a problem with Hello Kitty. Like I mentioned in my Hello Kitty NES video, it's a full game of balloon trip mode in Balloon Fight, except it's much more colorful. Super Mario Bros. 2. That's right, I'm picking the second one over the third one mainly because of its gameplay. It's just so drastically different from most Mario games. It's actually more similar to the newer Mario games, seeing as you can pick multiple playable characters. I like picking Luigi because he could do that crazy jump. I have to come clean that I've never actually owned the NES cart to this game, but I experienced it through the Game Boy Advance and Super Mario All-Stars for the Super Nintendo. I didn't play the actual NES version until much later in my life, and I believe I've beaten just about every iteration of Super Mario Bros. 2. I can't say that about any of the other NES Mario games, so there you go. Castlevania. Jumping from a game that I've beaten on every platform to a game that I've never beaten. That's right, I've never beaten the first Castlevania, but damn do I try. I've probably been playing this game my entire life and have never gotten to Dracula. I made it to the Grim Reaper once, but that could have been a dream. Now I know what you're thinking, why the first Castlevania, not the third one or the second one? Well, every time I pick up Castlevania, I think to myself, well, why not beat it in chronological order, and then get my ass kicked on the first Castlevania? I do like the game though, and it's fun to boot up and persevere until I throw my controller across the room. I guess that's why they call it NES hard, huh? Crystalis. Now, this is kind of an obscure-ish title. It's an NES game that's not an arcade game. And it seems that when SNK ventured out of its comfort zone, it did some pretty cool things, and that thing was Crystalis. When it came out for the NES, it didn't get much praise for some reason, and if you play it today, you're just left wondering why there isn't a million sequels by now. In my opinion, it's better than the Zelda games for the NES. You can level up, ride a dolphin, shoot magic, ride a dolphin, collect different elements and weapons, and ride a dolphin. Did I mention you could ride a dolphin? If you're an NES gamer, you should definitely give Crystalis a chance, and then be left wondering why the main character isn't even in King of Fighters. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. When it comes to the NES, it can sometimes be challenging to find good two-player games. I'm not talking about the take-turn style of gameplay that's in Mario, I'm talking games where you can play it at the same time. Chip and Dale is really fun to play with two people. It's essentially Super Mario Bros. 2, but with two players simultaneously, and well, you can hide in the little boxes and their eyes poke out. I had a lot of fun with this game in my past and present. Whenever you have a buddy over and you want to do some retro gaming, this is usually the first one anyone would go to. It's just really fun to play with two people. Now, if you've paid close attention to this channel, then you know that I went through a marathon of all of the Mega Man games. It's really hard to pinpoint my favorite one. The common consensus of the best Mega Man game for the NES is unanimously Mega Man 2, but I'm going to go crazy and choose Mega Man 6. Out of all of them, I think I like this one the most. Now, this might have something to do with the music of the game, and the fact that you could just do so much things. Now, I know everyone gushes over Mega Man 2's soundtrack, but I think by this time of the NES's lifespan, composers were getting pretty creative with the software. I mean, just listen to Heatman's song. I also like the robot boss characters that were actually designed by fans. Capcom held a competition to where fans could submit character designs for the robot bosses. Two North American designs actually made it into the game, Nightman and Windman. It's really a game made by the fans for the fans, and that's why I think Mega Man 6 is my favorite Mega Man on the NES. Number 2, Ninja Crusaders. Now, I know that some people might be bothered by this game. I mean, it's not even on IGN's top 100 NES games of all time, let alone anyone's top 10. Well, why is it number 2 on our list? And, well, there's a reason, and let me tell you. The problem with most people that play this game is that they play it by themselves. One player mode should be just retitled Insanity Mode because it's really hard. I still to this day cannot beat that final boss all by myself. But if you get another player and make them get good at it, then the reward you feel after you beat the boss will be bliss. If you hold down the B button, you can turn into an animal based off which weapon you hold. You can have crazy situations. Have you ever seen a tiger riding a falcon? Only in Ninja Crusaders. Now, I have mentioned this game before on my channel, so here's a little video link to where you can watch that. Now, what could be the number 1 NES game of all time? Let's play a little guessing game of games that I haven't mentioned yet, and see if it makes it there. Classics like River City Ransom, Super Metroid, Zelda 2, Contra, Metal Gear. Think of a NES classic and see if you can get it right. I will give you a hint. It's a franchise that's within Smash Brothers. Earthbound, or Mother Zero, whatever you really want to call it. Now, this is a strange game to be considered number 1. This game isn't even officially localized, so owning the card is pretty difficult unless you're lucky. You'll likely have to play it on an emulator, which is what I did. What you get is a really unique NES experience, and a really unique RPG experience. Everything about this game is just magic. I think that's the best word I could use to describe this game. Like I mentioned before, I love music in video games, and this game is very musical. They dance, they sing. One of the main objectives is to find 8 parts to a melody, and if you played Smash Brothers, you'll get chills at every melody part that you get. Overall, I think it's probably the best experience that I've ever had playing an NES game. So that was my list of the top 10 NES games of all time. I know I left a ton of good ones out, but that's when you know that a system did well. So what are some of your favorite NES games? Be sure to leave them in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Phoenix Splash TV. This is Game Analyzer, signing off.